tired. Simplify was a late-blooming idea in the show, honestly. I mean, this is just how the show was developed. You know, if you want to know how sausage is made, this is how sausage is made. And
so was the CIC always the Opera House?
A lot of these were images or thoughts or ideas that were either born in the writer's room, in discussions among the staff, or somebody sort of created them on the page, or someone had a suggestion, and they sort of worked their way into the fabric of the show, and you would say, that's an interesting idea. I'm not quite sure what it means, but I love the iconography of it. The Opera House was something that actually Michael Reimer, the director, came up with, you know, as a place to put ball target. I don't even remember what the original iteration of that was. But there were various versions, and we say, oh, well, this is interesting, and I like the symbolism of it, and there's something here to be mined later. We like what it sort of does in this episode and where it's taking us, but we don't feel obligated to know exactly what it means right now. And then later, the challenge of doing a series like this, in my opinion, is then to take those sort of inspirational ideas where you're throwing something against the wall just because you think it's pretty. You think that's an interesting place to go, and then to make a mosaic out of that. Say, okay, well, yeah, I threw this over here and I didn't know what it meant, but now it's a part of the picture, and what can I do to make the picture fulfilling, make the picture interesting, and then how do we get to the Opera House? What does the Opera House ultimately mean in this circumstance, and how can I sort of bend the story back to there and give it meaning and make it feel satisfying, and make it feel like it was a cohesive whole? Because, in my opinion, whether you sit down at the beginning of the project and say, I'm now going to map out everything that happens over the arc of this story, and you follow it, or you invent it along the way, improvisationally, like taking like jazz or something. Either way is valid, and all that really matters is what you end up with. What's the final picture at the end? What is the piece that you're presenting?
But a lot of guys in your job don't have that discipline. A lot of guys in your job, head writer, say either we're going to map it out so painstakingly and specifically that there's no room for improvisation, jazz is not allowed, or, hey, let's just make it up as we go along, man. It's cool, that sounds good, that sounds good. You know, I started writing on this show. I wasn't a writer before Battlestar, and one of my most painful and yet, I have to say, instructive quotes from you was, I know that's what we were saying then, this is what we're saying now. And it was instructive because you have to be willing to borrow from or be adherent to the spine that you've set up. And we always got together to set up what that spine was, and we're pretty religious about it.
You never seem to break your own rules.
Well, there were rules. There were very strict rules, and yet within those rules there was a great deal of flexibility and a great deal of freedom. And what I like to say or call inspecting the staff with accountability. If they feel as responsible for the success of the show as we do, then we're not the only ones laying awake in bed at night wondering, hey, they're actually contributing and worrying about it in a very profoundly personal way. And that sort of balance is what I think, not just about Battlestar, I think it will be true about Caprica, but I think that's where television is going. I think the age of do it my way, write it my way, break the show in specific terms is dying, and that we're heading towards a much more collaborative or certainly flexible and fluid medium.